Okay, moving on now. Number 28. Mech Commander and Earth 2140. Ah yes, the Battletech Mech Warrior franchise. Who here remembers Mech Assault on the Xbox or Mech Warrior 4 for the PC? Well, for all you Mech Warrior fanatics out there, this game is definitely for you. Mech Commander Gold is a 2D real-time tactical game which not only has single player but online multiplayer as well. In single player, you get customize your mechs one by one down to the very last weapon. You can also choose what pilots you want to put in those mechs as well. Some pilots are better than others, but as you progress through the campaign, new pilots, mechs, and weapons will appear for you to customize your mechs with. And the best part is, your Intel horse stick graphics card can't say shit about this game. Secondly, we have a futuristic RTS game here known as Earth 2140. Earth 2140 is an extremely underlooked RTS game. Very few people know about this game, mainly because at the time, Command & Conquer was the main thing on the market. But let me tell you, this game is amazing. It's got all the goodness that Command & Conquer offered and more. What you gotta know about this game, though, is that the AI shows no mercy. This game can be one tough son of a bitch at times, and there is absolutely no fucking around with it. But like I stated with Raiden 2, just cause it's tough does not make it a bad game. This game is definitely on par with the Command & Conquer franchise, and I would definitely advise you to give this game a try. Number 29. XCOM Classic Collection. Ah yes, XCOM, one of the most underlooked game sagas ever. Only the really serious gamers of the past knew about these games, and they really took them seriously too. Whether you play XCOM UFO Defense, XCOM Terror from the Deep, or my personal favorite, XCOM Apocalypse, all three of these games are awesome. Now if any XCOM fanatics out there are watching this video, I know what you're thinking, and my answer, fuck you! XCOM Apocalypse is simply awesome. I don't know why people thought it was inferior to the other two, probably because in XCOM Apocalypse, instead of protecting the whole planet, you're only protecting one city. But what's awesome about XCOM Apocalypse in particular is that XCOM Apocalypse was the only game to let you choose whether or not you want to use turn-based combat system or real-time combat system. It stays true to what UFO Defense and Terror from the Deep set in motion for turn-based combat, but also gives the mainstream video game community a chance to get introduced to XCOM. And that is fucking awesome if you ask me. You totally run what happens with the XCOM Defense Corporation completely with XCOM Apocalypse. You manage research and development, fight off aliens from both the ground and the air, and research alien weapons that you salvage so that you can mass produce them and use them against the aliens themselves. But watch your fire out there. If your guy accidentally shoots in the wrong direction and blows up a building by accident, the company that owned that building will be very fucking pissed at you, and you might have to pay them off just to get the neutral status with them again. Regardless, all three of these games are fucking awesome, so definitely check them out. These games were made on old PCs, and they will run on them just the same. Number 30. Warlords Battlecry 3 and Fate of the Dragon. You RTS fanboys are probably enjoying this video the most, since the majority of the games I mentioned are RTS games. Well, I'm not quite done yet. Here we got Warlords Battlecry 3 and Fate of the Dragon. Two RTS games that are essentially very similar to each other, but each provide special features that make it shine. Fate of the Dragon is, once again, a bastard child of Age of Empires 2 and some parts of Shogun Total War, except instead of it being in Japan, it takes place in ancient China. What's extremely unique about this RTS game, though, has to be the map size. This game has not one but two mini-maps. The one on the left indicates your standard mini-map, as you'd expect, but the one on the right indicates the overland mini-map, showing off the entire landscape. The maps in this game are simply enormous. Realism is also taken into account this game, because not only do you have to actually train your troops, not just mass produce them and blindly send them into battle, but you also have to make sure your troops have enough food and supplies for the journey they are taking towards the combat zone. A fantastic showing of realistic large-scale RTS gaming. Secondly, we have Warlords Battlecry 3. This RTS game right here is in a fantasy time zone, and has a hero system in play, similar to that of Warcraft 3, except unlike Warcraft 3, the one in here is actually much more polished. I would say this game is more of a real-time role-playing strategy game. That sounds like a good genre for it. And of course, as you'd expect, the gameplay for this game is fucking epic. Large-scale battles at its finest, is just like Fate of the Dragon, except unlike Fate of the Dragon, where realism is also a factor in play, this game pretty much plays how you'd expect an RTS game to play. But that doesn't mean it's bad in any way, hell no! These games are great for cock-knocking PCs of all kinds. Both these RTS games are simply fantastic, and I wish more people knew about them, because these games are so underlooked it's not even funny. Number 31. Dungeon Fighter Online. Here's a good one for you asshats that play Gapple Story to switch over to, since this game is actually good! Dungeon Fighter Online is an MMO beat-em-up that is, like Gapple Story, free to play. There are 6 different classes to choose from with this game. Slayer, Fighter, Gunner, Mage, Priest, and Thief. And each class has its own different weapons, combat style, and special abilities to take into account. You start off in a town every time you log onto a server. In these towns, NPCs sell items, buy things from players, give quests, fix equipments, and so on. The game's combat areas are usually dungeon crawling and fighting the occasional boss at the end. But what makes Dungeon Fighter Online far superior to that of Gapple Story is the fact that level grinding isn't bullshit and the combat system doesn't suck cock. In fact, the combat system in this game is fucking awesome. If you want a game to convert to in order to free your soul from the Satan of 2D MMOs known as Gapple Story, this game is the place to go. And if Gapple Story didn't kill your PC, this game won't either. Number 32. Captain Claw. Let's kill the music for this one, because I want you to hear what's going on with this game at the same time as hearing me. I declare this game the most overlooked side-scroller ever made. Captain Claw, also simply known as Claw, is a fantastic side-scroller that I simply loved playing in the past as a kid. And for a bunch of reasons. The control for this game is perfect and totally responsive, but this game is in fact very hard. But it's not the kind of hard that you call shenanigans over every 5 minutes. This game is 100% complete fair challenge. This game gives you checkpoints every 2 to 5 minutes each time you reach another pirate flag, and these checkpoints are everywhere. Not to mention, this game lets you know when there's gonna be something really tricky coming up. This will be tough. So that you know to get ready. You play as the badass furry pirate himself, Captain Claw, and he's got a pretty decent variety of weapons to choose from. He can fight hand-to-hand or use his rapier sword for melee combat, and you can upgrade this sword with certain types, such as a fire sword, lightning sword, and frost sword. He's also equipped with a pistol for long-range attacks, and dynamite so that he could blow up really tough enemies without much challenge. He also has a magic attack called the Magic Claw, which is pretty much like a Hadouken from Street Fighter. It can kill multiple enemies that are lined up in a row with one blast, and makes killing hordes of enemies a lot easier. This badass cat is so tough, he can pick up enemies and throw them at other enemies. Holy shit. But what I found most amusing about this game had to be the voice acting. The voice acting in this game is downright fucking hilarious. I mean, just listen. Fucking beautiful, ain't it? In conclusion, Captain Claw is an amazing overlooked side-scroller that worked just fine on my PC in the past with Windows 98 on it, and it works fine on my current PC, as it should run fine on any shitty-ass PC nowadays that you try and play it on. And did I mention this game has multiplayer? Number 33. Sonic the Hedgehog Fan Remix Collection. Let me tell you a little bit about the Sonic Cage Dome forums. These guys are what you call true Sonic fans. They're creating fan-made 2D Sonic games that are simply phenomenal. So many 2D Sonic games, so little time. So let's do a breeze-through of some of the ones that are out there right now. We got games such as Sonic Firestorm, Sonic the Mission, Sonic Henceforth, and many more. All of these games are beautiful 2D Sonic games, and I pray that these projects continue, since they're looking great so far. The two that got my attention the most, though, had to have been 1, Sonic Unleashed 2D, which looks absolutely fucking amazing, and is what Sonic Unleashed should have been in the frickin' first place. Not saying Sonic Unleashed was bad completely. Sonic Unleashed was good on the PS2 and Wii, but sucked ass on the 360 and PS3. Avoid those two at all costs, but PS2 and Wii are good. Anyway, this game pretty much makes Sonic Unleashed perfect, turning it into a 2D classic side-scrolling Sonic style. And the Werehog isn't bullshit for once, as you can still side-scroll with the werehog, and the combat in this game with him is actually really fun, as opposed to the 3D version where it just rips off God of War's combat. Secondly, I also love Supersonic Knockout. This game is pretty much Sonic Super Smash Bros., similar to how Super Mario World works, but the only difference here is that the combat system is way better and more complex, and not to mention faster paced. Each player has a life bar, as you'd imagine, and you fight multiple different characters from different Sonic games, and each character has a unique Chaos attack, which is pretty much like a Final Smash, if you will. Chaos attacks, when activated, you go into a cutscene mode where you see your character do a really flashy attack. This attack, as you'd imagine, does a shitload of damage to the player you inflict it on, and is a very good way of killing a player off. But you still have to get your Chaos meter to full before you can use a Chaos attack, though. But the thing that broke my heart the most when I found out about this was that Sonic Adventure Remix had actually been cancelled. Oh my god, come on! Why? That game looks so fucking awesome! Well, at least there's a beta out of it, but still, the fact of the matter is, that game could have been a masterpiece. Why cancel it? Whatever the case, these Sonic games are all fucking awesome, and I advise you to definitely go to the Sonic Cage forums to check all of them out. Your PC will be happy with it, and so will you.
Number 34. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and SimCity 3000 Unlimited.
Let's be honest here, not all of you who play games on PC always want to run around killing people all the time, am I right? So here's two options for you casual gamers out there. First up, we got Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. In this game, you can create your very own theme park, build rides, sideshows, attractions, food stops, and of course, roller coasters. You yourself can actually build custom roller coasters to your liking if the pre-built designs don't really get your attention. Make sure you keep an eye on your rides though. Rides in this game do in fact break down, and there's multiple ways they can break down. Roller coasters in particular, such as a safety cutout, a faulty lift system, or the worst case scenario, station brakes failure. If you have more than one train on your roller coaster and one of them is currently in motion, you'd best pray to God that the train in motion doesn't reach the station before the coaster is fixed, because if that happens, boom, the coaster will crash into the other train and kill anybody that was on that train. Ouch. Or you could be a total tyrannical jackass and just randomly cause coasters to crash on purpose and watch people get killed on them for shits and giggles. It's your call. Secondly, we have SimCity 3000 Unlimited. In this game, what you do is you create your own city and suburbs and run everything as the mayor of them. Manage taxes, run the irrigation system through the city, set up subways, roads, highways, and railroads, and of course, make sure the city has plenty of electricity. Sounds simple enough, but it's not. This game has multiple quote-unquote disasters that can happen at any time during your term as mayor, such as fires, riots, earthquakes, swarms of locusts, whirlpools, space junk, UFO attacks, and tornadoes. Like Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, though, here you can also be a tyrannical son of a bitch as well, because these disasters can also be triggered on command. So if you built an enormous city and are bored out of your fucking mind one day, why not just destroy everything for pure shits and giggles? Again, it's your call. For you casual gamers out there that don't always want to play shooters, RTS games, or anything that involves combat, here's two games that will definitely get your attention and are made for people like you. And of course, shitty PCs will definitely be compatible with these games.
Number 35. Hero Fighter.
This game actually came out recently and is getting better and better with every update released. Hero Fighter is pretty much a modern-day version of Little Fighter 2, but unfortunately from what it looks like, it doesn't seem like this game is very moddable, or at least not yet, hopefully. The graphics are much more higher definition and detailed, and the gameplay is much more smoother and fluent than that of Little Fighter 2. The core gameplay, however, is pretty much exactly the same as Little Fighter 2, so if you played that game, you'll fit in right at home in here. The game by default has 5 characters to play as, and like Little Fighter 2, does have online play. So if you're a fan of Little Fighter 2, check this game out and keep an eye on it. This game seems to be heading in the right direction with each and every update. Okay, for the last part, I'm going to be talking a lot about these games that are coming up, so I'm going to call this one early. So, click the easy button and we'll move on.